frei beherrscht die Welt. Brecht die Zweigen, warft die Beimer, tut, wo's euch gefällt. Brecht die Zweigen, warft die Beimer, tut, wo's euch gefällt. Treibt die Vögel von die Felder und verjagt sie fort. Die, wo's kennen, weit nicht fliehen, zählt sie auf Not. Die, wo's kennen, weit nicht fliehen, zählt sie auf Not. Reißt die Loddens von die Heißlech, Scheiben brecht heraus. Brennt a Lichtel, geht's dunkel, löscht mit Zorn aus. Brennt a Licht, geht's dunkel, löscht mit Zorn. Wailing, wailing winds of evil play upon the land. Fell the trees and break the branches by your raging hand. Rouse the birds from quiet meadows, let them seek to fly. If a wing is weak or broken, crush them as they try. Rend the doors off all the hinges, shatter every pane. If in darkness shines a flicker, kill that fucking flame. Wailing, wailing winds of evil, while your time is nigh. Long will winter keep the light of summer from the sky. Juliet, Juliet, deze winden, it's desire Zeit. Lang wird dauern der Winter, Sommer ist noch weit. Schon lang hat gedauert der Winter. Sommer ist nicht weit. A schönem herzlichen Dank und Shalom Aleichem. Es ist ein größer Covid und eine Ehre, ein Honor für uns zu sein da. Die schönen Bilder und die Überkeplach, was man sieht mit den Übersetzungen, sind von Yeva Lapsker. Ihr versteht mich mehr oder weniger, ein bisschen weniger, öfter. Das ist ein Lied von Avram Reisen von 1901, was ist stark gesungen geworden in Warschau, in Wilner Ghetto. And we keep singing it because it's always winter somewhere. It's nice to be home in Berlin, one of my Wahlheimatstädte. And so here's a Berlin, a little nostalgie ballade for Berlin. I followed you over the border for me. We wandered along by the river, the towers all shrouded in haze, and we kissed by the wire, and they all held their fire in the good old bad old days. Just remember how lovely it couldn't have been when the world was as closed as a door. I remember those nights down in old East Berlin with the microphones listening under the floor. And every stamp in this passport of mine was a record of kisses you gave. Ah, we suffered in style, and it's all in the file in the good old bad old days. Yada-da, 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 all the streetlights were waltzing together, crimson and green, and your dress was as gray as the weather. Oh, what a dream. We built up a city of whispers and classified war dossiers. I gave you control of my papers and soul in the good old bad old days. Oh yes, wasn't it miserable? Wasn't it grand when the world had an iron divide and the people could take a political stand just by singing a song for the opposite side? Now nobody cares who you are anymore, and nobody cares what you say. It's liberty's curse, but was it really much worse in the good old bad old days? Now Alyosha is gathering flowers every May, and the statue of Marx by the tower faces away. By the wall is a souvenir table with hammers and sickles displayed on new watches that work, and they're sold by a Turk in these good old not-so-bad days. Now I'm singing for euros and drinking alone where we used to spend marks at the bar. And the weeds have grown over the border of stone that cuts through the town like a surgical scar. And so many streets on this faded old map are like names written over a grave. It all makes me so sad, 'cause it wasn't that bad in the good old bad old days. Yada-da, 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 so don't look for a final solution here in Berlin for capitalist prostitution. It comes from within. And don't worry about revolution. We'll just keep the aesthetic cliches in this market of fleas, selling klezmer CDs for the good old bad old days. So Genossen, Tavarische, let's make a toast to the time when the state knew your name. And we'll all say L'chaim, Nazdrovya, and Prost to that braver old world where we all are the same, where nobody loses and everyone wins just as long as this comrade obeys. But that's all in the past, so won't you fill up your glass for the good old bad old days. Yada-da, 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 yada-da. That's all in the past. Won't you raise up a glass to the good old bad old days? Schönen Dank. Noch ein Berlin-Lied. Das ist ein Lied, was ist gewesen, ein Gedicht, ein Laienlied, gedruckt, öfter in der literarischen Welt, von Theobald Tiger. Yeva hat dieses Gedicht gefunden. Yeva found this poem. Bei Theobald Tiger, wer war er? Sehr gut, danke. Ja, Gebildete. So, ja, das ist ein Gedicht von ihm. Wir projizieren hier das Originalgedicht auf Deutsch und eine Übersetzung von der jiddischen Version, die ich singe, die Yeva und ich zusammen verfasst haben. So, gefasst? Ja, festgelegt? Verfassung? Okay. Ja, bei uns in Europa. Ihr schickt uns von Medina von Ford. Etwas am miesen Menschenexport. Verfleizt ist Europa, arum und arum. Von neuer Prost denken Kleinbergertum. Die Touristen, heuch und chaserisch, legen die Füße so grob auf den Tisch, drehen das Spodek in alle Erter und öffnen das Mäuel allemal mit die Wörter bei uns in Amerika. Bei euch in Amerika hat man zweierlei Recht, vor Arm und reich wie vor gut und vor schlecht, kollerlei Käpplich, Louis und Mencken und Diener von Dollar, wussen Dollaren denken. Bei euch in Amerika hat man Republikaner und frumakische, blutige, pure Tyranner. Keuch und Jugend und ohne Sof Geld, nur ihr seid nicht die Moss von der ganzen Welt. Bei euch in Amerika. Bei uns in Europa ist a jeder freu. Nicht bloß a Kurve fahre jeder ein Boy. Bei uns in Europa ist schwarz in Geheut. Kein Macke, was darf am Chitze. Applaud. Bei uns in Europa kann man leben ohne Geld. Und von deswegen leben noch alles auf der Welt. Bei uns in Europa ist alles Ding fein. Als man geht nicht in Schule oder Klöster rein. Als soll sich zu führen, ist bloß a Verdross. An Nudne und Nichter Leben ist das wie bei euch in Amerika. Das weiß schon bei euch, nur der Guttinker Jenk. Die restliche Yankees, sie weißen a kränk. Sie lehen in den Seier, Newspapers, Blois. Also wie sie schmecken sich süß wie a Reis. Hört schon nicht zu, ihr Arbeitsleid. Vergesst schon die bourgeoise Edelkeit. Pässer und Fenner und große Paraden sind nur narische Zementfassaden. Die Grenze ist da zwischen Snies und Chies und sie läuft in der Quere durch alle Medines. Die emmese Grenze zwischen Chies und Lies läuft in der Quere durch alle Nazis. Bei euch in Amerika, wie bei uns in Europa. All right, we're going to stick with Herr Tiger for a second. Another German song that needed to be transposed to a broader linguistic and cultural context. This one's from 1931. The title is Rosen auf den Weg gestreut, with roses strewn upon the path. I would like to dedicate it to the to those lovely folks who are standing out on the Pariser Platz today that Yeva and I ran into with their old-timey flags. It was some sort of a historical recreationist organization. I don't know, they had flags with eagles on them, all kinds of deformed eagles that had two heads, mutant eagles. There was one that was right on top of the flag of Russia. Boy, yeah, Don DeLillo was right. Yeah, nostalgia is poisonous and dangerous, especially when it's someone else's. Ihr müsst sie lieb und nett behandeln. Erschreckt sie nicht. Sie sind so zart. Ihr müsst mit Palmen sie umwandeln. Getreulich ihre Eigenart. Pfeift eurem Hunde, wenn sie ankläfft. Die Faschisten, wo ihr sie trefft. 2, 3, 4. You have to treat them nice and gentle. Do nothing rash. They're sensitive. You must be somewhat sentimental, respectful of the way they live. Don't let your dogs attack them on the street. Embrace the fascists. Embrace the fascists where you may meet. 2, 3, 4. Wenn sie in ihren Sälen hetzen, sagt Ja und Amen, aber gern. Hier habt ihr mich, schlagt mich in Fetzen und prügeln sie, so lobt den Herrn. Denn prügeln ist doch ihr Geschäft. Die Geschichte. Küsst die Faschisten, wo ihr sie trefft. 2, 3, 4. If they should call for hate or violence, just let them talk. It is their right. And keep your protestations silent. You wouldn't want to start a fight. For fighting is what they do best. Embrace the fascists. Embrace the fascists, and you'll be blessed. Und schießen sie, du lieber Himmel, schätzt ihr das Leben so hoch ein? Das ist ein Pazifistenfimmel. Wer möchte nicht gern Opfer sein? Und spürt ihr auch in eurem Bauch den Hitler-Dolch tief bis zum Heft? Küsst die Faschisten, küsst die Faschisten. Küsst die Faschisten, wo ihr sie trefft. And if they fire their guns upon you, is life so precious in your eyes? You would be sheep with wolves around you. Why not be gladly victimized? And if you feel inside your guts the Nazi dagger's blade, embrace the fascists. Embrace the fascists. Embrace the fascists that we all have made. Yeah, but I don't really mean that. As romantic as I might be, I'm not in favor of kissing fascists. Well, not all of them anyway. Not just because I meet them, not because they're fascists. Here's a funny little moritat. It's all true. I read it all in a book I wrote. All right, here we go. In 1945, among the Jews who were left alive, there came a visionary man who turned his wrath into a plan. Abakovna was his name. As a partisan, he earned his fame. He once was a Vilna rebel Jew, a poet and warrior through and through. He met some surviving ghetto fighters, Zionists and socialists conspired. They gathered in a Lublin flat and around the kitchen table sat. They gave themselves a Hebrew name, and with this word they did proclaim that vengeance is what God would will, were there a God. And so they'd kill 6 million Germans. You might say it was insane. You might say it was insane. 6 million Germans, that it was misdirected pain. 6 million Germans, they didn't want the war to end. 6 million Germans, they wanted one thing, nakam, revenge. For every Jew the Nazis gassed, for every racist law they passed, for every wrong that wasn't right, for all the dead nakam would fight. They formed a band of 40 strong to straighten out what had been wrong. They chose to poison water mains, just as the Jews of old were blamed. In Nuremberg and Hamburg town, their agents worked the underground. They took up jobs by the riverside and waited for the poison to arrive. And Kovner went to Tel Aviv to see what help he could receive. But the Haganah did not agree to join in his conspiracy. 6 million Germans, you might say it wasn't right. 6 million Germans, that an eye for an eye leaves all without sight. 6 million Germans, they didn't want to make amends. 6 million Germans, they wanted one thing, nakam, revenge. So Abakovna headed back with vials of poison in his sack upon a British naval ship, but to his plans the Brits were tipped. They took him into custody, and the poison fell into the sea. And Kovna spent a year in jail, and so Plan A did not prevail. And the rest of the group was all dispersed, and all their backup plans were cursed. But an agent in a bakery, he got some poison from Paris. And as soon as the poison bread had risen, he took it to an Allied prison. And various reports have said there were hundreds of SS prisoners dead. 6 million Germans, you might say that it was wrong. 6 million Germans, but were their actions weak or strong? 6 million Germans, they didn't want the war to end. 6 million Germans. Who are we to judge and condemn? They wanted one thing, nakam, revenge. So Nakam was all disbanded. On Palestina's shores they landed. And Abakovna and his crew became like many other Jews. They put aside their rage and hate, and they worked to build a Jewish state with Jewish towns and Jewish farms and Jewish guns and nuclear arms. Now, can vengeance put upon the shelf be taken out later on someone else? Well, careful how you read this tale, lest your own prejudice prevail. For look around the world today and consider the role that vengeance plays. For history has its unpaid debts. And is it better? Should we forget? 6 million Germans. You might say that it was insane, that it was absurd, 6 million Germans. But what becomes of a dream deferred, 6 million Germans? They didn't want the war to end, 6 million Germans. They wanted one thing, Nakam, revenge. Revenge is a dish best served cold, like Lithuanian borscht. Somebody got that. It's an old Klingon Litvish adage. Ja. Ich bleibe ganz dokumentarisch hier mit diesem nächsten Lied. This is a song that was written for one of Abakovner's comrades and lovers by one of his other comrades, Hirsch Glick, who was a young poet and songwriter and partisan resistance fighter in the Vilna ghetto and in the forests of Lithuania. And he wrote this song for Witka Kempner. And I like to sing this one in English because we all still need good Antifa love songs. Silent stars are shining o'er you. In the frost your hands are numb. Remember, sweet comrade, how I showed you how a soldier holds her gun. A girl, a coat of fur and leather, holding a pistol in her hand, waiting and watching for the German convoy to come around the bend. Still, die Nacht ist ausgestern und der Frost hat stark gebrennt. Sie gedenkst du, wie ich hab dich gelernt, halten a Speier in die Hand. Amoid a Pelzel und a Beret und halt in Hand fest an a Gan. Amoid mit a sametenen Ponen hit ob dem Säunes Karawan. aims her trusty little weapon, breathes and pulls the trigger back. A transport full of ammunition. One shot stops it in its tracks. Gezielt, geschossen und getroffen. Oh, ihr kleiniger Pistol. An Oito aflinken mit Waffen. Verhalten hat sie mit den Keul. Dawn, she crawls out of the forest with garlands of snow all in her hair. One more little victory for freedom, one more comrade brave and fair. Vertog von Wald gekrochen, mit Schneegirlanden auf die Hol. Gemutigt von Kleininken mit Sochen, vor unser neuem freien Dor. Gemutigt von Kleininken mit Sochen, vor unser neuem freien Dor. Oh, dank. Yeah, we've been talking so much about memory. Memory in very abstract terms. In some of the really interesting panel discussions and presentations. And I wanted to sing a song that has to do with memory and with loss, trauma, if you want to pathologize it. But it's also quite a beautiful song. It's been haunting me a lot lately. It's by a woman who was born in Vienna. She grew up in Czernowitz. She lived through the war, and then she came to the Bronx and built her world up from nothing there, along with her family. And there on Bainbridge Avenue in the Bronx, she was part of a generation of refugees who became gardeners of contemporary Yiddish language and culture. And the seeds that they planted, I've seen them grow all over the world. I'm talking about Bela Schechter Gottesman. She was a poet and a songwriter and a painter and a mother and a grandmother and a teacher, and she was one of my teachers. This is a song of hers. Yeah. I've never played it on guitar before. I just recently transplanted this song into my own language, my own Mamaloshen. It's about what to do when your whole world falls down, when everything pops. It's called Der Binyan, das Gebäude, the building. was has der Binyan, was du was geboi, mit die eigene Hand und mit Siegel geräut, ist nicht mehr wie ein Hemdel zerrissen, ein Zeug, und du stehst an Nackete bis zu der Heu. Was has der Binyan, was du hast gekannt, zerfällt sich gar plötz im Zierwerk, gar verbrennt, und du liegst mit Achseln, mit Beide und Händ, begraben in die Churwes von deiner eigenen Welt. Wo bleibst du etwas so treurig sitzen? Lass mir gehen a Tänzel auf die Fingerspitzen, a Tänzel glatt in Togarein, und warmen sie bei der streuner Schein. Imagine the building you built on your own, with your very own hands, out of red brick and stone, is no more than a torn old shirt you have worn, leaving you naked and stripped to the bone. Now imagine your building familiar and tall, how it suddenly burns and collapses and falls, and you and your hands and your shoulders and all lie buried in the ruins of your very own walls. Why just sit and sigh and let your sorrows linger? Let us dance a tango with entangled fingers, a tango till the breaking of the dawn, warming our souls with the burning of straw. Von was ist der Binyan Gebäude, der Gebäi? Von Breckelig Hoffen und Geläuten, ai, ai. For of what is this Binyan constructed and made? Just fugitive pieces of hope and of faith. And what is this building standing upon? Like a tower of steel on foundations of straw. Und auf wo steht der Binyan und halt sich azoi, wie ein eiserner Mäuer auf Balkens von Streu. Why just sit and sigh and let your sorrows linger? Let us dance a tango with entangled fingers, a tango till the breaking of the dawn, warming our souls with the burning of straw. Wo bleibst du etwas so treurig sitzen? Lass mir gehen a Tänzel auf die Fingerspitzen, a Tänzel glatt in Togarein, und warmen sie bei der streuner Schein. Schönen Dank. I have the great pleasure and honor to to ask my dear partner, Yeva Lapsker, to join me on this next piece. You will hear her and see her. You can see her that way, or this way. This is a poem by Kahn Yeva Lapsker, and it's on the last record that I came out with. She uses scare quotes. It's called Meine Vaterländer, my homelands.
Vaterländer meine, wer kann euch zählen und achten? Seiden zitterige Fies, was fielen, Streckes lingebiger und warten, wir leben Fleuer, warten sichere geduldig, das Fies sollen ankommen in Treue, Fies was seinen ewig schuldig.
My alleged homelands, who could ever number you or name you but the feet that tremble at the borders, that lie in wait for any who would claim you. They lie in wait like lions, waiting, patient and infernal, for feet to come in sorrow and in silence, culpable and weary and eternal.
Reifes warten, dass wir sollen zu sie kommen. Ins Reife hat sich Gott zu uns gemolden. Jammen, warten, als wir sollen in sie sinken. Wir haben einmal schon im Jam gespalten.
Fires wait for us to walk into their pyres, for once we saw a flame with God inside it. Oceans wait for us to sink beneath their waters, for once we crossed the waters he divided.
Vaterländer meine, kalte, heiße, sonnige und Triebe. Ich kann euch zusagen, zu ackern, zu sehen, zu besingen. Noch kann ich nicht zusagen, keine Liebe.
My alleged homeland, cold or hot with sun or cloud above you, I can promise you my plow, my sowing and my singing, but never can I promise to love you. For I'm in love with a cherry blossom.
Ich bin verliebt, gar in a karschen Bäume.
Was hat geblüht mir durch sich, which bloomed to me one morning clear and bright.
Mir ducht sich, was hat geblüht in a Tag hell.
I wore a string of beads of many colors
Ich bin gegangen in a weißen Kleidl
and a summer dress of purest white.
mit a Kränzel gläserne Karel.
My alleged homelands, hot or cloud, cold with sun or cloud above you. Let us talk of God, or bread, or water, but never let us say that I should love you.
Vaterländer meine, heiße, kalte, sonnige und Triebe. Wasser, nur lo mir nicht reden, wegen Liebe.
Thank you, Yeva. I'm going to play an old song of mine that I wish it would get a little bit older. I wish it didn't stay forever young, this fucking song. I don't even remember which war I was writing about when I wrote this thing. I'll see you on Sunday just after the war. We'll hang up our bruised old arms on the wall. So check all your armor and guns at the door. We'll drink to the end of it all. We'll check all our armor and guns at the door on Sunday after the war. We'll drown it in brandy, we'll drown it in wine. When all of the ships have laid anchor ashore, I'll pay for your sorrow if you'll pay for mine. When the ships have laid anchor ashore, I'll pay for your sorrow if you'll pay for mine. On Sunday after the war. After the war, after the war, all the bells will be ringing. After the war, after the war, after the war, nothing will be as before. On Sunday just after the war. Well, I'll see you on Sunday just after the war. We'll wipe all the mud and the blood from our boots. The grunts and the brass, volunteers and recruits, will carry their burdens no more. They'll sell off their burdens at the old surplus store on Sunday after the war. I'll try to get used to my house and my bed when the flags have been folded and put in the drawer. I'll try to forget what I got in my head on Sunday just after the war. When the flags have been folded and put in the drawer on Sunday after the war. After the war, after the war, all the birds would be singing. After the war, after the war, after the war, nothing will be as before. On Sunday just after the war. Sind die Horizont gekommen, oi weh. Du Sphäre sind die Horizont gekommen, für ein Soldat hat man mich zu nehmen, oi weh. Für ein Soldat hat man mich zu nehmen, oi weh. Ich bin auf ein Schlachtfeld aufgekommen, oi weh. Bin auf den Schlacht für der Ruf gekommen, hab ich getroffen, mein Tavarisch in Blit schwimmen, oi weh. Getroffen, mein Tavarisch in Blit schwimmen, oi weh. In sein Körper ist zerrissen, oi weh. In sein Körper ist zerrissen, oi weh. In sein Körper ist zerrissen, fin sein Eiver die Blit fließen, oi weh. Fin sein Eiver die Blit fließen, oi weh. Well, the meadow is heavy with drink from our veins, and some mother's son ain't no boy anymore. I swear I won't even try to explain how meadows and fingers are stained. If you ask me, I swear I won't try to explain on Sunday after the war. So I'll see you on Sunday just after the war. We'll cast our remembrance down in the grave, where so many others who no one could save are smothered in brothers as brave. We'll cast our remembrance down in the grave on Sunday after the war. After the war, after the war, they're always recruiting after the war. After the war, after the war. Will everything be as before on Sunday just after the war? Many thanks. I want to thank everyone here at this amazing conference, everyone here from everyone who works at the HKV, everyone who's made this possible, all of the technic people, all of the people who've made this such an amazing island of thought, a bubble, an oyster of thought, and questions. And I want to thank Dasos on the sound, and everyone who, these lights, and we got one last song for you here. This is a grammatical song. So, yeah. Strictly grammatical. 1, 2, 3. Well, you can fight a war with drones, you can fight a war with loans, you can fight a war with gas or cans of paint. But don't you realize that the game is compromised if you think that this is something that it ain't? We got images of murder that don't manage to disturb an international order that is bordering absurd. And no one gets the freedom they were told that they deserve till they realize freedom's not a noun. It's a verb, it's a verb. Freedom is a verb. Something never finished, never done. It's something you can take, it's something you must make, it's something you must constantly become. Well, this weekend revolution is a radical inclusion. It's a holiday of popular revolt. It's the social interaction of inconsequential actions using phrases to replace a silent vote. But lower pay and higher rent's another kind of violence. The violence of silence and of greed. It's the violence of feeling your irrelevance, revealing every way in which you never will be freed. It's a verb, an action, an urge, as fertile as the barrel of a gun. And it happens out of need, it's a fire and a seed, and its terrible potential has begun. Tell you that your liberty is constantly in jeopardy. It's something you must loyally defend. Oh, but isn't it the meaning when your well-intended meanings, when your means are to justify your ends? So improvise a barricade of furniture cascading in a carnival of helmets in the flood. For the bottles can be filled with either gasoline or lager or detergent that'll wash away your blood. It's a verb, freedom is a verb, something never finished, never done. It's something you can fake, and it's something that'll break if it ain't something that you constantly become. It's a verb, an action and an urge, as fertile as the barrel of a gun. And it happens out of need, it's a fire and a seed, and its terrible potential has begun. Many thanks. Yeva Lapsker, please come down. Where is she? I'll play a short one. Schönem herzlichen Dank. This is a song, it's actually an old folk song that was adapted by the late great Yiddish singer and teacher Adrienne Cooper. And she taught it to the world. And her daughter, Sarah, our friend, translated it into English. And it's a song that I sing now with you, I hope, for Ukraine and for all of the Ukrainians who are fighting for their lives and their freedom. I'll start it with a tiny snippet of a good old anti-czarist soldier song, an old Yiddish song from the 19th century. It goes like this. Oy vemen velne mir dienen, Brüder. Oy vemen velne mir dienen, Brüder. Dem russischen Kaiser, Brüder. Dem russischen Kaiser, Brüder. Dem russischen Kaiser dienen ist nicht gut, weil tut sich baden in unser Blut. Dem russischen Kaiser dienen ist nicht gut, weil tut sich baden in unser Blut. gehad koyach, wollt ich gelaufen in die Gassen, wollt ich geschrien, Scholem, 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 wollt ich gehad koyach, wollt ich gelaufen in die Gassen, wollt ich geschrien, Scholem, 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 If my voice were louder, if my body's stronger, I would tear through the streets, crying peace, peace, peace. Hätte ich die Kräfte, lief ich durch die Straßen, würde ich schreien, Frieden, 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 Frieden. Ja, da, 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 geschrien, Scholem, 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 Scholem. Shalom soll sein. Schönen Dank von mir und von Yeva. Bleibt gesund und stark. We got a few CDs here if you want.